On the question of what they've done to deserve the kind of abuse they get from the newspapers, do we know? Do you know?
Like your best friend marrying somebody who's totally dominated him. And
where do you get this? So there we go. That's something I've read in newspapers written by ignorant people. Where are you getting your information from?
Newspapers. This is my own conclusion.
So what's it based on? The idea that she totally dominates him? How did you arrive at that conclusion? When did you arrive at that conclusion?
Pretty early on.
Okay. And what was the evidence for it?
Deviation from royal protocol, I would think.
No, the evidence for her totally dominating him. Where are you getting this evidence from, that she totally dominates him? Because I've seen it a lot, particularly from people denying that their negativity is in any way racist. It's all to do with how pushy she is. So show me, because I can't see it at the moment.
It's to do with how pushy she is.
That's what I said. So where's the evidence?
Prince Harry was the kind of the saviour of the royal family. He's the shining star.
Yes. Where's the evidence that she, quote, totally dominates him, end quote? Because that's offensive to both of them.
The fact that in such a short time he's changed so completely.
Well, we all change when we fall in love, particularly with people that make us want to be better than we were before we met them. So again, the evidence that she completely dominates. Just one little example before we bid farewell and you step back from national radio. Where's the evidence that she completely dominates him?
Well, just a statement from yesterday that they want to step back from royal life.
But where's the evidence that she completely dominates him, Steve?
Well, that is the evidence.
No, it isn't. That's the evidence that they want to step back from royal life.
Would there be?
Would there be? Steve, you just told me the reason. They want to step back from royal life. You told me she completely dominates him, and I want to know. And I suggested that you might just have swallowed that line from ignorant journalism, and you were adamant that you hadn't. So you must have. No. So where does it come from?
No. Unlike from yesterday, there's no other possible explanation.
Thank you, James O'Brien. Well. You know when someone starts talking and you immediately know they've got nothing to say, but they're going to say it anyway? That's what happened when Steve called James O'Brien's show. And trust me, this one was so deliciously awkward, I had to bring it to the table like freshly baked drama with a side of royal seasoning. Welcome to the channel, guys. Here we celebrate Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex. Subscribe if you haven't already. You are on the right place. Let's dive in, shall we? Now, if you don't know who James O'Brien is, let me set the stage. He's this brilliant British radio host who doesn't suffer fools gladly. Calm, articulate, and he's got the patience of a saint but the tongue of a surgeon. He doesn't scream, he doesn't insult, no. He just listens, then carves your argument up like it's Sunday roast. And this poor caller, Steve, he walked into that studio unarmed, armed only with recycled Daily Mail headlines and a strong dislike for Meghan Markle. And what happened next? Whew, pure radio gold. It all started when James posed a simple question. Why do people really have a problem with Meghan Markle? Why this constant need to vilify her? And right on cue, the universe sent in Steve. Like a pigeon flying into a clean window, Steve just crashed. He dials in, confident as ever, and says, I just think Meghan dominates Harry. She controls him. He's not the same anymore. And James? Calm as a cucumber, he asks, in what way does Meghan dominate Harry? You could feel Steve freeze. You could hear the panic. Because in that moment, Steve realized he didn't actually have an answer. He just had a feeling, a weird little itch, like the kind you get after reading too many trashy headlines and calling it research. Well, Steve says you can just tell. You know, from the way he's changed, he doesn't seem the same man anymore. Changed? Not the same man? Oh, you mean he's no longer the party prince in Vegas? Not the cheeky lad being hounded by tabloids every week? Not the grieving little boy walking behind his mother's coffin in front of cameras? You mean that Harry? James gives him another chance. He's patient. Okay, he says. Can you give me a specific example of Meghan controlling Harry? Silence. More silence. Then a faint mumble. Something about body language and his expressions. And you know what that means. When someone starts talking about body language, you already know the facts have left the chat. Now we're just interpreting side eyes and hand placements like we're Sherlock Holmes with a monocle and too much free time. It was embarrassing, and honestly, it was revealing, because James O'Brien, in his quiet, surgical way, wasn't just grilling Steve. He was exposing the entire foundation that so many Meghan haters build their house of outrage on. There's no brick, No mortar, just hot air and a lot of recycled emotion they can't explain. Let's be real for a second. If Meghan Markle was a blonde duchess with a stiff upper lip and a love of corgis, they wouldn't be saying she dominates Harry. They'd say she empowers him. They'd say she elevated him. But because she's a mixed-race woman with a voice, a spine, and the nerve to love out loud, suddenly she's controlling. Suddenly she's the villain in some made-up Netflix royal thriller. Harry chose peace. He chose love. He chose to put his wife and child before a cold institution that never protected his mother and wasn't about to protect his own family. And for that, people say he's been dominated? Please. Let's really dig in here. Harry didn't look lost when he was laughing in California with Meghan at a polo match. He didn't look dominated when he was speaking freely about mental health or launching the Invictus Games. He didn't look weak when he stood beside Meghan as she shared her story of suicidal thoughts. And he sure didn't look controlled when he told Oprah with full chest, "I had to get us out." That is not domination. That's liberation. Now, compare that to what he had in the UK. It was just constant tabloid abuse, racist dog whistles, and honestly, an institution that fed him to the wolves while protecting other royals who actually had scandals. They'd release statements defending Kate's hairstyle, but let Meghan be absolutely shredded over something as simple as avocado toast. And folks actually want him to stay in that environment? Come on now. Steve, like so many others, doesn't really care about Harry's well-being. What he really means is, I don't like that Harry escaped. I don't like that he's not playing the game anymore. I don't like that he chose a woman who challenges the script. Let's not forget, these are the same people who cheered when Meghan was called a diva just for asking for banana bread and essential oils in the guest house. The same people who said she was difficult simply for speaking up about racism. They said she was too much for wanting privacy and too controlling for not letting tabloids harass her baby. Meghan could cure cancer and they'd still complain that she didn't do it wearing Burberry. It's deeper than just dislike. It's coded. It's cultural. And honestly, it's lazy. You know what really bothers them? That Harry didn't need saving. He did the saving. He got himself out. And that, right there, makes him dangerous. Because the moment someone steps out of the palace walls and tells the truth, the whole system starts shaking. That call with James O'Brien was a microcosm of something much bigger. It showed us that so many people are comfortable repeating narratives they've never questioned. They hear Meghan is difficult or manipulative, and they believe it. No evidence needed. Just vibes, just headlines, just a photo of her looking confident, and boom, she must be the problem. And when you ask them to explain it, silence. Steve is every Daily Mail comment section personified. Loud opinions, empty reasoning, all fury, no facts. And James O'Brien? He handled him like a professor grading a blank essay. Gently, but firmly. I'm sorry, you didn't answer the question. And maybe that's what we all need to start doing more. Ask questions, push back, make people think. Because when you strip away the noise and force folks to explain themselves, a lot of that hate collapses like a paper palace in the rain. So let's not be afraid to be a little more like James. Calm, direct, no insults. Just one simple request. Can you give me an example? Because if they can't answer that, maybe the problem isn't Meghan. Maybe the problem is the mirror they're too scared to look into. And to Steve, if you're listening, next time you call a radio show to bash a woman for being smart, independent, and protective of her family, at least come prepared, because you walked in with empty hands and walked out with your argument in pieces. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep laughing at the foolishness, and remember, when someone tells you they don't like someone but can't tell you why, they've already lost the debate. See you on the next one.